Hello class. For this lesson we will be talking about the Federalist versus the Anti-Federalist. Before we can jump in, we have to give a brief explanation of how we got to this point. It all started at the end of the American Revolution. Once America won its independence from Great Britain, it had to create its own government. It did this by creating the Articles of Confederation, which served as the first constitution. However, it made government too weak and eventually failed. It was at this point the American people knew they had to create a better one. This is where the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists come into play. Federalists and Anti-Federalists had opposite views of how the new Constitution should be written. Federalists wanted a stronger national government, while Anti-Federalists were people who were opposed to a strong federal government. Let's hear from one of the Federalists. I'm Alexander Hamilton. With the help of my friends such as James Madison and John Jay, we created what we like to call the Federalist Papers. This is a collection of 85 articles and essays that promote ratifying the United States Constitution. This would create a stronger national government. We believe that a strong centralized government would help make America be the best that it could be. Before we hear from an anti-federalist, let's review the Federalist view. The Federalists wanted a strong centralized government. This means that the government gets involved in many areas. They especially wanted the government to help regulate the economy. They wrote the Federalist Papers to lay out why the new Constitution should be written how they thought, hoping that people would read this and sway them to ratify the United States Constitution. Now, let's hear from an anti-federalist. I'm Samuel Adams. I, like many other anti-federalists such as Thomas Jefferson and Patrick Henry, fear that a strong government will lead America right back to where it was before the American Revolution. The point of the American Revolution was to free us from a monarchy. If we give the government too much power, who's to say that the presidency won't turn into another monarchy? This is why we believe that the government should have less involvement. Let's go over exactly what it means to be an anti-federalist. The anti-federalists wanted a government that was less involved. This means that they wanted a government to stay out of many areas. Instead of the government having the power, it should be given to the states and the people. The economy should be dominated by the farmers and smaller communities. The state should be in control of their spending instead of giving the power to one centralized government. The easiest way to look at it is when people say Federalist versus Anti-Federalist, they are essentially saying strong government involvement versus weak government involvement. Now that you have some background knowledge on the topic, let's get right into the lesson.